Hi sir, my name is Max Ghanefar and today I'll be doing my Calculus and Vector CCT. For my CCT, I was assigned question number 1 on page 137 of the McGraw-Hill-Ryerson Calculus and Vectors 12 textbook. The question states, the demand function for a DVD player is P of x equals 575 over square root of x minus 3, where x is the number of DVD players sold and P is the price in dollars. It is asking us to determine A, the revenue function, B, the marginal revenue function, and C, the marginal revenue when 200 DVDs players are sold. Before we begin solving the question, it's important to highlight the key parts. Firstly, we know that the demand function for a DVD player is P of x equals 575 over the square root of x minus 3. And we also know that x is the number of DVD players sold and P is the price in dollars. Part A of the question is asking us to determine the revenue function for the DVDs sold. If we recall back to lesson 2.6, the revenue function is just the number of items multiplied by the price per items, which is also known as the price function, which we are given in the question. In step number 1, we write that the revenue function is equal to the price multiplied by the number of units sold. Both of these pieces of information were given in the question. The price is just the price function which we have, which is 575 over square root of x minus 3, and that is multiplied by the number of units sold, which we are given as x. In step 2, we just simply distribute the x into the price equation, and we are left with 571x to the power of 1/2 minus 3x, which can be rewritten as revenue function equals 575 root x minus 3x. Part B of the question is asking us to determine the marginal revenue function. And if we again recall back to lesson 2.6, we know that the marginal revenue is the rate of change or derivative of the revenue function, which we already solved in the last part of the question. In order to get the marginal revenue function, we must take the derivative of the revenue function, which we figured out in part A. But before we start, we must do step 1, which is rewrite the equation in order to make it easier to take the derivative. And by doing that, instead of writing the square root of x, we write x to the power of 1/2. In step 2, we basically just take the derivative as we have learned in this course, which is to bring down the exponents of the x values and subtract them by 1. So as you can see, we bring down the exponent of the first x value, which is 1.5, and we subtract 1.5 with 1, and we're left with 1.5 multiplied by 571 x to the power of negative 1/2 minus 3, as we brought the 1 down from the exponent of x and subtracted it by 1, so the x is gone. And finally, in step 3, we write it in proper form, which is r prime of x equals 571 over 2 multiplied by the square root of x minus 3, and this is our marginal revenue function. This is the graph of the demand function. As you can see, it is decreasing, which means the more that the people buy DVDs, the less the demand is for the DVD. The next two graphs are of the revenue function and the marginal revenue function.
Hey, we got a good thing. Don't know if I'ma see you again, but is that a good thing? Cause girl, I can't be your man. No man, I know what's on your...
Part C of the question is asking us to determine the marginal revenue when 200 DVD players are sold. From the beginning of this question, we were given that x is the number of DVD players sold, and they are asking us to determine the marginal revenue when 200 DVDs are sold. So all we have to do is sub in 200 for x into the marginal revenue equation, which we already have. So as you can see, in step 1, we sub in 200 for x and we solve through, and in step 2, we are left with 17.33. This means that when they sell 200 DVDs, the revenue is increasing at a rate of about $17.33 per DVD sold. This question relates to the real-life job of an accountant. as often accountants are asked to find how much revenue a company makes depending on how much product they sell and stuff like that.